Welcome back to Ascend Legal 101. I'm Ramona, and today I'm connecting with you through the Ascend Legal 101 podcast platform that you can find in all the places your favorite podcasts live. If you prefer YouTube, you know we'll be there as well. If you enjoy this conversation, please like it, share it with your friends, subscribe, follow, or leave us a review so that we can stay in touch. Welcome to May. I hope you spent April speaking your truth all over the place. I certainly know I did. And I had a whole bunch of birthday magic. Last week, I wrote a blog post about remembering your unique presence. And I love this community's feedback because it always expands my own view of the world so much. Truth be told, and we're all about speaking our truth over here, that I was inspired to write that post by a little girl, a man who I'm coaching, and also how men are naturally inclined to praise their own virtues, and they often lead with it. Today, I'm going to wave my magic wand and take you back to a time when you can remember all of your unique gifts. Were you funny? Fearless? Were you really good at cartwheels or building unbreakable forts? Do you remember what your natural gifts and talents were that you put away for a better day? Are you in a place where you can look in the mirror right now? Look straight into your own eyes and recognize them. Have you ever done that before, where you recognize yourself again? Where you see your soul? Can you see your greatness? Can you see your unique presence? See it in your face, in your body, in your mind. Feel it in your heart and your soul. Do you remember that? Yeah, remember that. Stay with that for a minute or two. I can wait. While we're in our imaginations, I'd like you to meet a tiny little girl with big blonde curls. Her name is Sophie, and I met Sophie and her mom when I was on safari in the mall looking for the perfect pair of red boots. There she was, standing tall in her pink corduroy dress with pink and blue striped leotards and a beautiful pair of tiny red boots. It was an absolute joy to listen to Sophie tell me all about her lovely red boots in her equally lovely British accent, while her mother and I tried on the same boots, hers in black, mine were red. You know what I love about little girls? They know who they are. I have vivid memories of being Sophie's age and knowing exactly who I was. All of the office supplies I spent my allowance on, the second grade entrepreneurial ventures, a lot of backyard shows and high-flying tricks that made my mother totally crazy. I had a lot of verve. I can tell you, when I was Sophie's age, I was a world-class Sasquatch hunter, first rate. What I remember most about when I was Sophie's age is that I wanted to be Samantha from Bewitched. She had everything I could see in my future. A great hairdo, magic, a husband named Darren, and she could fly. Samantha had unique presence. Fast forward and you know what I got? A great hairdo. It's new. I was once married to a man named Darren, who my family called Durwood, by the way. And also, I can be a witch from time to time. Last week, a coaching client asked me if he had unique presence. He's reading a book. Of course, the answer was a resounding yes, and you can imagine that discussion that followed. I'm not going to get into it, but I can see that he's in a place where he would like to acknowledge his own greatness, and he's still deciding whether or not it's okay to do that. Just so you know, it is. I found it interesting in this instance, though, that it was a man asking for permission to acknowledge his greatness. Most of my days are filled with men, mostly lawyers and pilots, telling me all the time, telling me how great they are. They often lead with their accomplishments, and usually I find that really inspiring. Except, have you ever noticed that when women do the same thing, they get their ass kicked a little bit? The other parts of my days are filled with reminding women that they are valuable, worthy people who deserve to be heard, ask for help, and be paid what they're worth. Male or female, over the years, we mentally turn our assets into liabilities based on what other people may have said, or truthfully, how we have interpreted what they have said. Our independence and creativity is called defiance. Our voices are too loud, we're too active, we're not active enough, we're too weird, too quiet, too fat, too stupid, or way too intellectual. Not good enough, not enough of this, not enough of that, not enough, not enough. Too much. We've all been there at work or in relationships where having unique present isn't a good thing. The relationship part is a whole nother podcast, but let's look at this in terms of work or in leadership. And I'll use myself as an example of times where it was not okay and certainly not safe to sing my own praises. I've been in a leadership position where I couldn't do anything right. I was either hoarding information or over communicating. If I was frustrated or angry, I was too emotional. But that other guy who frequently flew off the handle, he was just French Canadian. When the boys were in their secret meetings, sharing privileged and confidential information with each other, they made sure the others knew that I had trust issues. I remember I once worked with a guy who commented I was very influential, like it was a bad thing. I reminded him that we were on the same team. Let me ask you, my dear listeners, if you had someone on your team with a lot of influence, would you leverage that, or would you let yourself be threatened by that? A lot of us focus on living the way we are supposed to, in gigantic air quotes, but who gets to define that? Especially as women. We listen so other people feel heard, perhaps making ourselves invisible, and at the very least, flexible so that we can navigate their world without realizing that it is in fact our world too. We spend an awful lot of time powerfully acknowledging greatness in others without letting a sliver of light shine on our own. My coaching client is looking back to when he was small and remembering the gifts he already had that were set aside or forgotten so that he could survive in the world he grew up in. He's had to make very difficult decisions about what he wants his life to look like. He's had to make changes to his career, his relationships. Most importantly, he has decided to believe that he does have unique presence because having unique presence is important to him. That is his greatness. I also have decided to have people around me who believe in me no matter how crazy I am on any given day. And what I have learned from my own champions is that it's okay to acknowledge my own greatness, and sometimes we have to. Let me say that again. We have to acknowledge our own greatness. You, my darling, have to acknowledge your own greatness. It's always been there. I believe that we remember we all have unique presence. We remember our greatness within. How you define that presence or greatness, that's up to you. When we finally know it and own it, then everything changes. Everything. And when you know it, to round out the dreams of the little girl who grew up in the 70s with Samantha, my life is filled with magic. And I can, in fact, fly. Will my coaching client fly? Will little Sophie learn how to fly? Will she own her own business, write books, have children, and dance in her kitchen? Will she wrinkle her little nose and pop off to Paris for the afternoon? Who knows? My greatest wish for her and all the little girls and boys in our world is that they don't have to wait for the plus in 40 plus to remember that they already have what it takes to pull off a fine pair of reds or to find their voice again. I hope Sophie remembers that she has unique presence, that magic is everywhere, and that everything she will ever need is already tucked inside those little red boots. That's my wish for you too. Thank you for joining me to tune in to your own unique presence today on Ascend Legal 101. Use your powers for good today, darlings, and we'll chat again very soon.